Connecting Shavuot to this incredible Shabbos that was this Shabbat 250, Trump, who really represents the world, the Goyim, the people of the world. He is, at the moment, the leader of America, which I believe is the strongest country in the world. And what did he do? He proclaimed Jews in honor of our 250th, in honor of America reaching 250, you keep Shabbos. That is helping America dedicate this 250-year celebration. And it blew my mind. I mean, it blew my mind because, like I said, I remember the bicentennial, I'm old enough. And I'm just envisioning if President Ford had said, Jews, keep Shabbos to celebrate and commemorate and inaugurate. What? What does Jews keeping Shabbos have anything to do with America's strength? That's celebrating the strength of America? Like, that sounds so bizarre. But that's exactly what Trump just said. But not only that, and this is why, of course, I'm bringing this in now in this pre-Shavuos class, the Shabbos that was selected was this past Shabbos. This past Shabbos energizes Shavuos, meaning Shabbos is always the culmination of the preceding week and energizing the coming week. So, like, remember, I was telling you about my son's bar mitzvah. So last Shabbos, I was very focused on him because this is the culmination of his bar mitzvah week. Well, not only was the culmination of the past week, it's energizing the coming week. It's energizing the week of Friday, Saturday, Shavuos. So it's the Shabbos that gives koyach, that gives power to Shavuos. Now, why am I connecting what Trump did to Shavuos? Because, of course, we all know the Midrash that when God wanted to give the Jewish people the Torah, he asked first every nation of the world. That's what it says, which I assume means the 70 original countries, the 70 original nations of the world. And everyone said, no, nothing doing. What's in Torah? Don't steal? No way. Get out of here. Be loyal to your wife? Not our culture. No, thank you. Rest on the Sabbath? What? We need to work 8 days a week to make a living. You want to take away one and we should only work 6? What are you talking about? So for 3,338 years, the world is like, Torah? Not us. What are you talking about? And now, as we're about to receive the Torah for the 3,338th time, Trump, representing the power of the nations of the world, says, we want Shabbos. We're ready. We accept. Okay, maybe we're not keeping Shabbos. Well, actually, of course, there was a Shabbat meal in the White House that I think was Friday afternoon, but whatever. Those are technicalities, right? But the world is ready. The world is accepting. These nations that refused Torah and said, no way, we need to work 8 days a week, they're on board. Jews keep Torah. That is such a shift in the world. It was like unbelievable to me. It's really expressing how the world has shifted. Now, the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1984 and 85, he really began the Noachide campaign. And the Noachide campaign was saying, go out to the world and give them the message that they can and must and should serve God. We're not proselytizing. We don't want them to be Jewish. We want them to serve God as non-Jews, as Noachides. And it was such a strange mitzvah because there's like 8 billion mankind. And how many Noachides are there in the world? We're going to go out and what we're going to find? Less than a needle in a haystack. But you know what? We did it. And the world shifts. And this really, the fact that we can have such a campaign is really saying the world is ready to serve God. And it is. And there's so many people, more and more, that are actually becoming Noachides, are actually serving God as non-Jews. Now, of course, there's not 8 billion of them. There's not even, I doubt, 50,000. But every single one is really creating shifts in the world. And this, of course, goes back to us. When we receive the Torah for these past 3,338 years, we learn the Torah, we live the Torah, and the world changes. So right now, the world has absorbed the messages of Torah. Sorry, Is that Shira? I don't remember. iPhone.
Yeah.
Okay, see iPhone. I wasn't sure. Shira, yes.
Just a quick question. Why did Hashem ask us last?
That's an excellent question. You know, I just actually learned a mimer, Hasidic discourse, where the Rebbe actually questioned that medrash. It's such a famous medrash, like we all know it. But the Rebbe questioned it like, this is so bizarre. Like, what's God doing? I mean, he really thinks the Goyim are going to keep Torah? Like,
It's kind of like you almost feel bad for God. Everyone else said no to him. So hey, let's just
you could say you feel bad, or you could say what game is he playing? Obviously, they're not going to keep the Torah. What's he asking them for? And it's interesting because the Midrash goes on to say, and most people don't quote this. I don't know, maybe it doesn't feel politically correct, but the Midrash goes on to say that through Hashem asking the Goyim and them all refusing, this gave the Jews permission to have all the possessions of the world. I'm saying probably very not politically correct, and not the elders of Zion protocols, you know, what Catholic Europe said and the Nazis said, and now Hamas and Hezbollah and all the Arabs say. It's very interesting because the Midrash says this gave permission for us. That's the term it uses, matir. It like loosened up, unlocked, opened up all the possession of the world to be ours. Meaning, what the Midrash is meaning is, hey, Goyim, God is asking you to keep his laws. If you're refusing and the Jews are doing it, that means the Jews are picking up your slack. That means the Jews are doing something you should do. So therefore, your possessions really belong to them because they're doing your job. That's what the Midrash says. And the Rebbe questions this famous Midrash that we all know, and it says, like, what was Hashem doing? And he answers, basically, the basic answer is, Torah is not about this little intimate relationship of the Jewish people and God. That does happen, and it's amazing and special, and we love it. But Torah is about transforming the whole world and making the whole world Hashem's home, what we call Mashiach. So when Hashem asked every nation if they would accept the Torah, and they all said no, this is like making a connection of every nation to Torah. They rejected it, but there's a connection there. Like, if God's asking, you should say yes, though they said no. And that's why when the Midrash says, and this allowed all the possessions of the world to be the Jews, again, that's not just, it's not like we walk in and take their money, but it means, again, spiritually, we have what I would call a balabatishkeit, an ownership, a relationship to all the possessions of the world, which is very significant because as we serve Hashem, we are transforming the whole world. We are making the whole world Hashem's home. And that really operates on two levels. On one level, it's Jews living and learning Torah throughout the entire world. I mean, by now, I would imagine almost every country in the world has a Jew somewhere, right? I mean, Chabad's everywhere because Jews are everywhere. And when those Jews live Torah and learn Torah, they energize the sparks of God in that place and give them over to Hashem and release them. And they elevate that country and give that country's energy to Hashem. Simultaneously, at the same time, it says in Tanya, a fascinating concept, that the entire world, and this really actually relates to what this Midrash is saying, though it says it in very different words, but it's really the same concept, says that the entire world is really under the possession, the ownership of the Jewish people. Meaning, let's say nowadays there's about 15 million Jews in the world. I mean, I'm sure there's more because that's what its official number, but we'll say 15. So the entire world is divided among those 15 million Jews. And every Jew has a certain piece of real estate. You know it or you don't know it, but you own a piece of the world. And as you serve Hashem, that piece of the world is elevated to Hashem. So when the Jewish people are serving Hashem, the entire world is given to Hashem, and the entire world becomes Hashem's home. According to the Rebbe, he's saying that's the point of this Midrash. That when the Midrash is saying, Hashem asked the whole world, will you accept the Torah? No. Will you accept the Torah? No way. It's like, really, but I'm offering it. That means there's a certain grip Torah has on your property, not by you, because you're not keeping it, but by the Jews. And when we are serving Hashem, we're making the whole world Hashem's property, Hashem's home. So I just finished learning this tonight. That's how the Rebbe explains this Midrash. this concept. Also, the Rebbe goes into this sort of similar midrash we've probably all heard and never thought about, where it says that when Moshe came up to Shemayim, when Moses went to heaven to get the Torah, and the angels are like, "What? You're giving your Torah to a human being?" And God said, "No, answer them." And Moshe gives his answers, and the angels accept to such a degree that they gave him presents. And in the same discourse, the Rebbe explains also that concept, that basically, just the bottom line, because that's what takes me way off subject, but basically, the angels are like, Torah is so holy and so spiritual, and it's godly, and all these spiritual realities is going down to planet Earth to a human being, a soul in a body. Like, that's such a low level. Like, it should be high and spiritual like us. And Moshe showed them that the Jews on planet Earth are really enrooted far higher than the angels. Every Jew is enrooted in God's essence and being. And you know what else is enrooted in God's essence and being? Torah. So the Jews in God's essence and being, Torah's in God's essence and being, that's a match. That's a shidduch. Torah goes to the Jewish people. Yeah, you angels are high and spiritual. And you're thinking of Torah as high and spiritual. But Torah is much bigger than high and spiritual. Torah is God's essence and being. And so is the Jew. And that's why Torah belongs to us. Very parenthetical, but I thought it was also a beautiful concept within the same idea. So the point I was bringing in all this is that the nations rejected God, rejected Torah, as Shira said, like, it's so not nice, everyone's rejecting Hashem but us. But now, after 3,338 years, the world via Trump, who's representing the power of the Goyim of the world, is saying, we believe in it. We accept. It's valuable. Jews serve God. Jews keep Shabbos. It was very funny, literally. My son in Springfield, Illinois, Springfield, Illinois is not a place where people just drop in on your Chabad house on Shabbos. Like, not like that. You know who's coming. You know your minion. And this guy they never saw came. And he said, well, it's Shabbat 250. So in honor of Shabbat 250, he wanted to go to a synagogue. So he went to the conservative temple, but they wouldn't let him in because of security reasons. No one recognized him, so they weren't letting him in. And he said, Reform probably doesn't even have services on Saturday. So he Googled Chabad, and he came to the services. So I was like, wow, that's amazing. Here's this Jew who just said, oh, it's Shabbat 250. I got to keep Shabbos. I'm going to do it. And my son, Kalman, he was at Jewish Resistance Retreat for people that are all into protecting the Jews of America. Great concept. And he said also, like, half the people were not religious. And it was like, oh, this is Shabbat 250. And they felt we should do more to honor Shabbat. So it's just amazing to me, this juxtaposition, first of all, of the Trump, the non-Jewish world saying Jews keep Shabbos, of them saying keep Shabbos and that will strengthen America. That is honoring America. And of them saying keep Shabbos, v'hashgacha pratis, the Shabbos before Shavuot, when they originally rejected God, and now they're on board. And that shift really is because of us. Because for all these thousands of years, we have been living Torah. We have been learning Torah. You can say, I don't know what my ancestors were doing. I can guarantee you they were living and learning Torah, because if they weren't, you wouldn't know that you're a Jew today. So our ancestors were living and learning Torah, and that penetrated the world. Torah penetrated the fabric of the world. And now the world, the non-Jewish mind, is thinking along the lines of Torah. So this all came to a head with Shavuos, and I thought it was just absolutely incredible, that juxtaposition. And like, literally, it was beautiful. Art scroll printed, special Turen for the Shabbos celebration in the White House. 120 Jews celebrated this pre-Shabbos reception in the White House. And then there was a formal Shabbat dinner. And for quite a number of those 120 Jews, it was the first time they ever celebrated Shabbos. And I don't know, to me, it is so expressing Mashiach. It is so, so, so unbelievable that, like, yes, the world is saying Jews keep Shabbos. I also thought it was very nice because the Rebbe, very rarely does he ever speak personal, like about himself, so to speak. I know exactly 3 times. There could be more, but I don't think so. In all the talks of the Rebbe, in all the leadership of the Rebbe, where he ever asked us to do something for him as a personal favor. Maybe he asked people individually as a personal favor, but when he's talking to the Jewish people, what he calls a bakasha nafshis, like my own personal favor, One is to learn Maimonides, to learn Rambam. One is to have a spiritual mentor, Mashpia. And third one that I know of is the Shabbos before Shavuos, to have gatherings of unity, Achdus, because it's the Shabbos before Shavuos, before Matan Torah. And a big merit that gave us the Torah was our unity. We did it once. In all of history, we did it once. And he, 3 million Jews, written in the singular, because we were one man with one heart. We all just wanted God. We just wanted the Torah. And the Rebbe says to recreate that unity, do things of unity, have gatherings of unity, recreate that unity, that merit to receive the Torah one more time. So any gathering on this Shabbos where people that normally don't get together, it's adding to the unity of that Shabbos. And I thought, look, how many Jews that don't normally go to a synagogue go or are celebrating a Shabbat meal that don't normally do that because Trump said. And it's like, wow, look again at again, these pivotal moments that we're just passing right by. I just think we could actually take a second to reflect on Trump and his God-given role. You know, God gives, God decides. It's all from Hashem. But a person needs to be worthy for good to be done through him. And I just thought it was so striking. Like, here's Trump. In May of 2017, he was the first sitting American president to visit the Kotel, to visit the Kaisel, Western Wall. He was the one that moved the embassy to Yerushalayim, to Jerusalem. He was the one that recognized our sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Under him, they brokered the Abraham Accords that I know we've spoken of several times, and many, many other pro-Israel decisions that are right now reshaping the Middle East. Hashem made it all happen through him. So, like, it's just amazing, this good that Hashem is having flow through him. I just want to mention one other thing that I think many people who are aware of Shabbat 250 were not aware of. And again, to me, it's just such a Mashiach piece. So Shabbat 250 was Shabbat. On Sunday, as a continuation of Shabbat 250, on Sunday, Trump gave a speech, also continuing this idea of the Jewish people and our contribution to America. And he gave a speech where he read Hashem's promise to Shlomo HaMelech, to Solomon. Now, in other words, he wants to read something biblical. He has the whole Bible, so to speak, the whole Old Testament, the whole Tanakh, 24 books. What did he or his speechwriters pick? Hashem's promise to Shlomo HaMelech after Shlomo dedicated the Beis HaMikdash. After Shlomo dedicated the temple, what were the words he read? The preservation of the Davidic dynasty, his chosen people, his chosen house. It is just amazing that, again, Hashgacha Pratis, did he understand or not understand? But of all passages, like, it was so unbelievable that Trump is reading passages with this clear injunction to the Jewish people to turn away from false gods and uphold God's commandments. And in turn, Hashem is promising he will ensure the continuation of the Davidic kingship. That means Mashiach. Melech HaMashiach is the continuation of the Davidic kingship and the temple. And it's just unbelievable that Trump picked this passage, invoking Yerushalayim by name, and like anchoring America's spiritual rededication to the same grounds where Shlomo HaMelech built the Beis HaMikdash. It just feels so Mashiach that an American president is reading passages about Hashem's promise for the line of David, for Mashiach, for the continuation of the Beis HaMikdash. Like, whoa. That was my take on it. I don't know if anyone had any other takes on this whole concept, or if it even passed by your radar, but I just thought, like, wow, look at this expression of Mashiach and what a tie into Shavuos. Reminder to make your Erev Tavshilin, very, very important. So you don't have any shilas lighting your candles, or, lighting your Yisker candle if you need to do that, or anything else that you need to do preparing on Friday for Shabbos. So please make sure, if anyone has any technical questions on the Erev Tavshilin, you all know what you're doing. Okay, I don't see anybody raising their hands because Sometimes that does get messed up, and it is important. And don't rely that someone else in your city is making it. Everyone should make their own Erev Tavshilin. Super important Friday to go to shul to hear the 10 Commandments. It's so interesting to me how that is the day the least people go to shul because the men were up all night, so they crashed, and the women aren't going because their husbands aren't going. And the Rebbe says every man, woman, and child should be there. God's literally giving us the Torah one more time, and we literally should be there to receive it. And for anyone who's it's relevant, of course, to remember that Shabbos is Yisker, the second day, which happens to be Shabbos, is Yisker this year. Shavuos is all about Torah. A lot of people don't get that Shavuos is important because it's such a cute, easy holiday. You get flowers and you have milchiks and it's 2 days. None of the Pesach intensity or Sukkot, 9 days and everything happening. And it's this little, but it really is like the most important holiday because that's when we got the Torah. That's when we became Hashem's people. Everything else, Pesach, Shavuos, it all, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, it all comes from the Torah. We got the Torah on Shavuos. That's actually why, biblically, it's one day. It's a day of one, the day of God. That's the point of Shavuos. Of course, in a sense, really covertly, it actually extends a week, and that's why you really had until the 12th of Sivan to give your karbanos. We don't say Tachanan until the 12th of Sivan for that reason. So it's like a covert holiday. But the overt holiday, biblically, is one day because it's about Hashem. It's the day of the oneness of Hashem. That's why it's also like in the middle. You have Pesach, then Shavuos, then Sukkot. It's in the middle because it's like the central being, the oneness of God. Torah makes us Hashem's people, and Torah is how we give Hashem a hug. It's the deepest way we and Hashem are one. It's the only food for our soul. It's the way, probably the only way we smash our ego. It's like reading Hashem's diary. It's Hashem's will and wisdom. It's Hashem. When Hashem gave us the Torah, he gave us himself. Our sages say in the very first word of the Aseret HaDibros, the 10 Commandments, Anoichi, this very fancy word for I, that some sages say is actually Egyptian. Anoichi is an acrostic. It's Aramaic. Ana nafshi kesavas Yehavis, which means I put myself in the writings. When I'm giving you the Torah, I'm giving you myself. So if we want Hashem, if we want God, we learn Torah. We want God, learn Torah. That's how we get him. We do obviously have a relationship when we do mitzvahs, but it's not the same. It's not as deep. It's not as fused. It's not as one. Literally, the deepest fusion of ourselves and Hashem happens when we learn Torah. Now, of course, sometimes we feel it, and a lot of times we don't. But it's always happening. That's why Shavuos, it's really important to learn Torah. We're actually told that our Yetzer Hara, our evil inclination, does not bother us on Shavuos. In one area, learning Torah. Maybe it'll bother you and try to get you to gossip. Maybe it'll bother you, get you to not be so honest. But in terms of learning Torah, for those 48 hours of Shavuos, your Yetzer Hara is not bothering you. If you don't learn Torah, it's just you. Your Yetzer Hara cannot prevent you from learning Torah on Shavuos. As an introduction to the Torah, this will be my final point, the Jews said, Na'aseh v'nishma, right? Unlike the rest of the world, as we just said, the whole world said, what's in it? No way, not interested, no thank you. And the Jews said, Na'aseh. We're not asking what's in it. We're doing it. No questions asked. And then nishma. And then we'll figure it out. We'll find out the reasons. We'll find out what we have to do. But na'aseh. We're accepting it, and then nishma. Then we're going to learn and find out all the details. This is so powerful. This statement, in essence, coronated Hashem as king, and actually coronated us as well. It says the angels, when we said na'aseh v'nishma, we will do, we accept, and then we're going to learn and find it all out. It says the malachim, the angels, gave Hashem 3 crowns. He put one on himself, and he sent the angels down to put 2 on each of us. One for na'aseh and one for nishma. We will do, and then we'll learn. And the Rebbe says that every year on Erev Shavuos, which means tonight, tomorrow, this is very practical, and every year we should reflect and recommit to this na'aseh b'nishma, to this commitment for which we deserve the Torah. And the commitment is, Hashem, we accept. We accept. We'll find out the details, but deeper than any of the details, we want you, we love you, we need you, and we accept you. You can say, well, it's a little hard for me because I know what the details are, but that's okay. There's probably plenty we don't know. But deeper than anything we know, Hashem, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. We understand. We don't understand. We could definitely not understand any of the details of our own life, that's for sure. And some of the details of your world, but na'aseh v'nishma, we accept. We know it's all you. We know it's all your love. We know you've been doing everything for us and to bring Mashiach. Na'aseh v'nishma, we're committed to you. That's what we're really rededicating ourselves to. Our commitment to Hashem, no matter what. And with that commitment, we can go and accept the Torah. When you are in shul on Shavuot and you're hearing those 10 commandments, I think it's good to sort of like envision your previous lifetime that you probably don't remember. When we were all standing at the foot of that mountain 3,338 years ago, every single Jew was there. Whoever was alive was their souls and bodies. Whoever wasn't alive was their souls. But we were alive because we know we're a Gilgul, reincarnation of that generation. So just to envision like the foot of the mountain and you're looking around and there's 3 million Jewish people and all the souls and you're hearing God's voice from every direction and the world is perfectly still and the voice of Hashem is penetrating the entire world and it's penetrating, ripping through you to such a degree that your soul just wants to jump out of your body and be fused with God, and like trying to recreate that and reaccept, and an eye to the future, the Torah Chadasha that we got 3,338 years ago, but we never opened that box yet, and we will have by Mashiach. So it should be a really meaningful Yontif. Kabbalas HaTorah b'simcha b'pnimius. We should all accept the Torah with joy and with inwardness. And I know it's a very